Home buyers are bailing on the housing market, folks, as Redfin reports that 56,000 deals were canceled in April alone. And that's nearly a record number of cancellations for this time of year, when traditionally cancellations aren't normally happening. That's normally a winter thing. So today on the Housing Nerd, we're going to cover this article from Redfin about cancellations and why buyers are doing it, and also the fact that these cancellations could turn into your opportunity if you look hard enough. So that's what we're covering today on the Housing Nerd. Thanks for joining us. Please do me a favor, comment below. Let me know what you think about the housing market right now. This is your chance to ask questions, and generally, if you want to even complain about the housing market, we're okay with that too. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the Housing Nerd. I've been a realtor and investor here in Central Ohio for the past 7.5 years. And yeah, let's jump into this article right now. We're also going to look, depending on how many people are on this morning. And by the way, give us a thumbs up if you're on. As you join us, give us a thumbs up. But we may also talk about some interest rate, maybe potential manipulation by the current administration, because they're getting fidgety, folks, on these interest rates. You make no mistake, the administration does not like the current rates. So we may get to that as well. And I also have some new home information, new home sales information too, potentially, depending on how long this lasts. But let's go ahead. We're going to get to this Redfin article. All right. And this just came out May 22nd, 2025. The link's in my description below. And it says 1 in 7 home purchase agreements fell through last month. So when we talk about a cancellation, what we mean is somebody who, signs a purchase agreement, agrees to buy a home with certain terms. The seller signs a purchase agreement. They're quoting, they're in contract, people say, and then the deal blows up for some reason, and there's a variety of reasons we'll get to in a minute why that's happening. But 1 in 7 home purchase agreements fell through last month. The share was higher in many parts of Florida, which is home to 5 of the 10 metros with the highest cancellation rates. Redfin agents say that when a deal is on shaky ground, it can be an opportunity for outbid buyers to get in the backup offer position. And that's true. Actually, I'm working on a sale right now with some buyers, helping them buy a home here in Ohio. And there was a contract on the home. The deal fell through. I was already in contact with that agent because my clients liked that home, and they were able to slide in and they were able to grab the home just as it fell out of contract. And that can be your opportunity when someone else walks away. Roughly 56,000 U.S. home purchase agreements were canceled in April, equal to 14.3% of homes that went under contract last month. That's up from 13.5% a year earlier, and is the highest April share in records dating back to 2017, with the exception of 2020 when the coronavirus brought the housing market to a halt. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, April 2020, that's just when COVID was kind of hitting, right? And everything was shutting down, if I remember right. So that's kind of an outlier. You take away that outlier, and Redfin has only been tracking housing market data since 2017. This is the highest share of cancellations in April on record. So, I mean, people are pulling back when they're in contract. But give me the reasons why you think they're pulling back. I can only guess what you're thinking, but I'd like to know. And we'll talk about it here in a minute. But here's a little chart that shows, how many homes were canceled, how many deals were canceled by month through the last few years. You can see 2020, look at that spike, right? And then it actually dipped down to 9.8 and then went up in 2022 to 16.2, 16%. So we're at 14% now. I mean, we're not at an all-time high, but we're definitely at an all-time high for April, except COVID, obviously. Now, I can look here and look at different markets. as to where home prices are. I'm sorry, home prices. Deals are being canceled. But I'll come back to that in a minute. Right after the article. This is based on a Redfin analysis of MLS pending data. The data is seasonal. Typically, there's a higher share of cancellations near the end of the year and lower share in the spring. That's why we're comparing this time of the year to April 2025, yada, yada, yada. Home buyers are skittish for several reasons. Economic uncertainty. Redfin agents report that some buyers are getting cold feet due to widespread economic and political uncertainty. Tariffs, layoffs, federal policy changes are among the factors prompting people to stay put instead of move. A recent Redfin survey found out that nearly 1 of every 4 Americans is scrapping plans to make a major purchase due to tariffs. So comment and tell us, do you or are you and have you scrapped plans to make a major purchase? Obviously, this is a housing nerd, so we want to know about your housing plans, but maybe it's a home renovation. Maybe it's like an addition to your house. Maybe it's a, maybe you're gonna, you're thinking about buying a car, even though those are crazy expensive now. Or maybe you were going to, make some other large purchase, maybe a vacation, and you're like, no way, not doing it now because of tariffs. Maybe that's you. I'd like to know. It's a buyer's market. Here's the other reason why people are walking away. Housing inventory is at a 5-year high and demand is slowing. That's true, meaning the buyers who are in the market often have room to negotiate. Some house hunters are backing out during the inspection period because a better house has or might come along. That's a pretty dangerous comment. Like, the reason why I say that's dangerous is because, technically by the contract, most purchase contracts anyway, you can't just back out because something else comes along. Normally, it has to meet the requirements of the purchase contract. So it could be that you weren't happy with the inspection, and that happens all the time. But you can't just kill a deal because you're like, well, this other one came out. This other property hit the market. But it's nonetheless, it's interesting that people are using the inspection as the excuse. Sticker shock. Mortgage rates and home prices remain stubbornly high, with April's average rate hitting 6.73%, more than double the pandemic low. Combined with economic uncertainty, high housing costs are causing some would-be buyers to change their minds at the 11th hour. So look at this. Let me go to Mortgage News Daily and show you what's going on with mortgage rates right now. So they said 6 point something, right? What did they say in their article? 6.73. Look at Mortgage News Daily right now, 7.02%. That's a change. It's down 5 basis points from, I guess this is probably for Friday. This is today. So maybe it's from Friday. Rates have actually dropped. Nonetheless, they're at 7.02%. Rates are high and they're sticky. They are sticky. And I may have time to get to that article that I found about the administration and interest rates, because I thought it was pretty interesting. Pretty comical in a way, actually. It's just kind of, well, wait till you see it. All right, so back to this article. Outbid buyers can ask their agent to find out if a seller is accepting backup offers. In cases where the deal falls through, one buyer's loss can be another buyer's gain, pointed out Allison Williams, a Redfin premier agent in Sacramento, California. This just happened to me as well. Like, I'm helping somebody buy a house right now that we slid in after the current buyer or the previous buyer walked away. And then I have a listing where the current buyer we had didn't work out. Same thing happened. We put it back on the market, but we already had a couple of agents talking to us about coming in to make a backup offer. Well, when we found out our deal was done and the buyer we had all lined up and in contract couldn't perform, what happened? Well, I called those agents back that were interested in backup offers and said, hey, is your client still interested? They were, and did the showing, obviously, and it went right back into contract. And it looks like it'll probably close. So there was somebody, basically, one man's trash, I guess, is another man's treasure in a way, right? Like, hey, this house isn't for me, or the inspection, or I can't get the financing, or that payment's too high, or I lost my job, whatever. And then the next person can slide in and buy it. Those are opportunities out there. So if you see something on the market that's in contract and you're looking for a home and you're like, hey, I like that house, but it's in contract, call on it anyway. I mean, your agent should easily make those calls for you to find the house that probably still has an opportunity there. That's how I do it anyway. 2 of my buyers have won deals this way, where the previous buyer canceled, and then we wrote an offer before the home was even back on the market and the seller accepted. It's a tactic that's been working really well, especially when it's a home my client was already interested in. I'll circle back with the listing agent to see if the other buyer is wavering. It's a great strategy to kind of find something that other people aren't looking at. You'd be amazed how many buyers will walk away from properties when they see contingent. They're like, oh, it's contingent. Can't do anything. No, wrong. Like, especially now with these cancellations, you got 14% of deals canceling. That's an opportunity. If you're a buyer who was just outbid on a home, have your agent ask the listing agent to keep your offer in mind as a backup offer in case the existing deal falls through. Another piece of advice for buyers: you may have negotiating power if you're bidding on a home that's back on the market after falling out of contract. When a deal falls through, it can give the impression that there's something wrong with the home. Even if that's not the case, this may give the next bidder room to ask for concessions and or negotiate on price. Exactly right. Like, you don't always get a discount, but like, if you're thinking about it, if you're a seller who's like, well, I can put my home on the market again if this deal falls through, and then what? People start asking questions like, why did it fall out of contract? What's going on with it? They're obviously, a lot of times may make a lower offer, and the seller's like, you know what? I don't want to fool with this anymore. Let's just get it into contract. Very normal to happen. Florida is home to 5 of 10 metros with the highest cancellation rates. Atlanta leads the nation in canceled deals. Holy cow. With 1 in 5, 20%. Whew. Pending home sales falling through in April. It's followed by Orlando, Tampa, Riverside, and Miami. Rounding out the top 10 are Fort Lauderdale, Fort Worth, Las Vegas, and Jacksonville, and San Antonio. I mean, Texas and Florida are like, yeah, they're those housing markets are like not good at all. Well, they're good if you're a buyer, maybe, probably if they're a buyer, maybe even an investor, but as a seller, pretty rough. Redfin analyzed the 50 most populous U.S. metros included in this analysis, with the 44 with sufficient data. Okay. Of the 10 metros with the highest cancellation rates, 5 are in Florida and 2 are in Texas. The 2 states have been building more homes than anywhere else in the country, prompting some buyers to back out of deals because they're confident they'll be able to find a different home that works better for them. Florida has more homes for sale than ever before. Some buyers in the Sunshine State are also getting cold feet due to increasing natural disasters and soaring insurance and HOA fees. So you absolutely, before you go like make an offer on a home, check the insurance rate. Check the HOA fee, check the property taxes. Like, don't waste your time on a home if these outlying, I don't call them outliers, these extra payments you're going to have to make are too expensive for you. Don't even waste your time. So check on that stuff first. Only takes a minute. The lowest cancellation rates was in Nassau County, New York, where 4.8%, that's it, were canceled. Next came Boston, 8.1, Montgomery County, PA, 8.1, Minneapolis, 8.4, New York, 8.7, Milwaukee, 9.2, Seattle, 9.8, Newark, New Jersey, Warren, Michigan, and New Brunswick, New Jersey. The East, pretty much, I mean, Seattle's not in the East, but the East and the kind of Midwest area, Northeast, Midwest, those are rough markets. People are usually not backing out. Anaheim and Seattle saw the biggest increase in cancellations. Okay, now let's scroll down here to this. This kind of tells us, you can look at the metro, and it'll kind of give you an idea of what's happened with cancel, or where the cancellation rates are now for April 2025 and April 2024. So kind of gives us a 50,000 foot view look, I guess. So lowest, Nassau County, 4.8%. Last year, 3.9. So that's an increase, obviously. Boston, Massachusetts, Montgomery County, PA, Minneapolis, New York. I'm in Ohio, so let's see how Ohio's doing. We go here, sort of by city. 11.4 for Cincinnati, Cleveland, 15.3, Columbus, Ohio, 14.2. Cleveland, and Cincinnati are high. Well, Cleveland and Columbus are. I mean, the national average is 14.6. So Cleveland's higher than the national average. It's down from last year, but Columbus is up. Yeah, Columbus is expensive. Like homes in Columbus are expensive, no doubt about it. Comparatively, for the locals anyway, right? Not when you think about like comparing it to like Anaheim, California, no, it's not expensive. Denver, who had the highest ones? I know we had looked at that pretty much, but let's go back. Oops, let me look. Atlanta, Georgia, Orlando, Tampa, Riverside, we know those. Fort Worth, Las Vegas, Jacksonville, San Antonio, Phoenix, San Diego, Houston, Los Angeles, Denver. Yeah, the list goes on, right? So everywhere has cancellation rates. That's normal. But I thought this was pretty interesting info. I wanted to share it with you guys this morning. Let me look at any comments. Let's see. Hey, Austin. Good morning. How are you? Joe Mama. Good morning. Good morning to you. Dan in the dirt. What's up? I'm hoping for 10 plus rate interest rates. Got to stay tuned for that, Dan. I'll hit on this article next from Housing Wire because I was like, it's so predictable what's going on, like from an interest rate standpoint. Not where they're going to go by any means. Don't get me wrong, but like what the, what the current administration wants to do. What's up, Steve? Hope you had a great holiday weekend. I did. Happy Memorial Day to everyone out there. Belated Happy Memorial Day. I love Memorial Day where I live in this little town in Ohio because they do a big Memorial Day celebration and parade, and we go down to the cemetery, and there's always a great speech by a veteran usually. Yeah, it's just a great day. It's probably maybe my favorite holiday it's kind of turning into, just from like a meaningful standpoint. Anyway, hope you had a great weekend, Steve. Dan in the dirt. Sellers of as is home refuses to fix anything. Ask me how I know. Well, yeah, it's as is. That's what that means, unfortunately. I got 51 people on. Give me a thumbs up if you're on. There'll be a freeloader. Oh, let's find out why. Because we walked away from 2 last year because of the inspections and the sellers wouldn't fix anything to pass appraisal. Well, if it's as is, you know that going in at least, right? Like they didn't tell you, yeah, we'll fix stuff and then not do it. Having said that, as the market changes, that will change too. Because if you're at the 5-yard line as a seller and you're like, man, this house has been on the market for 60 days, I've had some low offers. Now I get an offer I like. I put it into contract and, I got to fix the heating system or I got to fix the roof. A lot of sellers are like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and move forward and get this thing done. So you may see that change, Dan. Trevor F, what's up? The Northeast is still low inventory right now. Hopefully that changes soon. I don't know, Trevor. The Northeast is a horribly tight housing market. I feel horrible, horrible. I feel bad for the folks up there. Like inventory's low, and I imagine prices are still high. I believe you. What's up, Steve? What do you got? Mortgage rates. By the way, Steve is a great mortgage broker. You should reach out to Steve if you need some mortgage help. And he's got all kinds of programs, commercial, residential, everything. Mortgage rates have been crazy. Follow the 10-year, add 3 points to that number, and you'll get your median conventional rate. Good tip, Steve. Thanks. That helps us. Good. Yeah, mortgage rates have been crazy. I should have refied back in, I don't know, months ago when I talked to you, Steve. Remember when rates were like 6.5? I should have refied then. I had a couple buildings I still do have a couple buildings to refi. At some point, I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and go. Joe Mama, unlike a loaf of bread, a house has longer shelf life, but it has what I call an expense life. It varies according to how much a person can lose, but my estimate is 2 years. Big discount soon. Maybe, yeah, there could be big discounts. Certain prices are certainly moderating in a lot of parts of the country. Some parts not. Some parts are still off the hook, crazy expensive. It also depends on what inventory you're looking at, right? Like a home that is priced way over the median, those homes are definitely coming down in price. Homes that are priced correctly, those homes are kind of moving still fast in most areas that I see. But yeah, I understand your point. Yeah, house definitely has longer shelf life. Uh-oh. Dan in the dirt, we're not using a realtor again unless we buy a HUD home where it's required. A HUD home requires a realtor? I didn't know that. News to me. I'm not sure. I did not know that. So listen, you don't have to buy a realtor. You don't have to use a realtor. No, there's no requirement for doing it. And I'm not going to tell you you should use a realtor. What I would tell you is not all realtors are created equal. So now that you know what a bad one looks like, because it looks like you had a bad experience, go find a good one. And don't sign anything until you've interviewed them. Like, don't go out and say, hey, I'm gonna, just sign the buyer's agreement, because you got to sign a buyer's agreement to see a house now. Negotiate the buyer's agreement, whatever you do, but still interview some. Maybe you can find one that's good and isn't going to give you the runaround and genuinely wants to help you find a home for you and your family. They're out there. You just got to find them. Come up with a list of 5 questions and then call like 5 realtors and ask them those questions. If you don't get the answers you want, maybe call 5 more. But then again, you seem to know what you're doing. Maybe you don't need a realtor. So don't use one. And I didn't know you had to use one with a HUD home. What's this? Oh, what do I got? Edwin, man, you and your super chats, I really appreciate it too. Thanks. That's very nice of you. Very, very nice. Go, you got your 12,500 in concessions last week. My agent was sweating it. Buyers are the market. Great job. Yeah, I mean, sellers have dominated the housing market for so long. Not so long. Like what? Well, maybe even before COVID, they were in some areas, like here in Columbus, they were kind of owning the market for the most part as a seller's market. I know before COVID, it was a seller's market here in Columbus, but the fact that you asked for what you wanted and you were firm and you got that, great job, Edwin. That's fantastic. I love hearing these success stories. I love hearing how you as a buyer got what you wanted instead of being a seller. Sellers have dominated the housing market for years now, a few years, right? And it's been brutal on buyers. It's about time that the buyers can have a leg up. Good for you, Edwin. And again, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Pizza money. Woo! Not great pizza here in Ohio. I will say that. Found a couple good spots, but not amazing pizza. All right. Well, thank you, Edwin. I really appreciate it, dude. Let me go back up. There were a couple other ones I wanted to hit on. Mortgage rates, 20K to unlock a door. Realtors are neurotic women and fools. Realtors are for neurotic women and fools. Yeah, I mean, look, it's like using a car mechanic, I guess, or I don't know, any other type of, professional. Like, you don't have to use one. Don't have to. So if you think they're fools, don't use them. That's a great thing about it. Unfortunately, the lawsuit, the NAR lawsuit, did not help people who did not want to use a realtor, because at least now you have to sign a buyer's agreement with a realtor to see a listed house. Man, that lawsuit, I'll tell you what, only folks that made out there were the lawyers, and they made out bank. You don't hear many people complaining about that, though. It's mostly, the realtors, I guess. 20K to unlock a door until you marry the house and take the rate. 20K to unlock a door? Where do I sign up? Man, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have made a 20K commission before, but that's rare for me. I mean, that's rare. That's a big house. Most of the houses I sell, they don't. I mean, if you're in a market where houses are $1 million, then yeah, you're going to see more 20K commissions, I would guess. But where the median price is 300 grand or 250, not a lot of 20K commissions. And yeah, it's usually not 20 grand to unlock a door, but I guess it could be, depending on where you live. Yeah, marry the house and date the rate. Somebody told me Dave Ramsey coined that phrase. I wonder if that's true. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that's a horrible. I do not like that saying at all. I think it's the cheesiest saying you could ever mention as a professional. Here's a financing hack in this market. Even if you qualify for conventional, ask your loan officer to price you out FHA. FHA with the recent MIP mortgage insurance premium price cut, I'm guessing that's what it means, can typically be cheaper than conventional. Great tip, Steve. Thank you. Yeah, when you go out and look for a loan, first off, even Steve's a great mortgage loan broker. I think he would even agree. Interview multiple loan brokers, interview multiple lenders, and look at multiple products. Don't use the first product they send you. Ask questions like, hey, is this the only product you got? Do I qualify for anything else? Is there anything with a lower interest rate? And then have them create a comparison for you, like a spreadsheet where it's like, here's one type of financing. Here's the second. Here's the third. And compare them and see what the best deal is. Steve's saying it may be FHA. Of course, that's 5% down or less. Okay, good. In California, my property tax on a monthly basis now consumes my entire Social Security check, meaning there is $0 for anything else. Man, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. VCAR 32126. Cute dog. What kind of dog you got there? I can't tell what kind of dog that is, but looks like a cute one. Yeah, taxes suck. Actually, so I'm just finishing the edits. My editor's finishing a property tax video where I interviewed the person that's in charge of eliminating or has spearheaded the effort to eliminate property taxes here in Ohio. Like there's a petition going around right now. If we get enough signatures in Ohio on this, it'll be on the ballot in November in Ohio. Yeah. So Ohio could lead the country in this. Like it's a very real possibility that property taxes are eliminated next year in Ohio. Now, how are they going to fund the schools and the firemen and the libraries and all that, the zoo? I don't know. I haven't seen a proposal on that yet. But I did interview the person that has kind of led this effort, and that video will be out this week. Pretty eye-opening, pretty amazing effort, and yeah, no property taxes. So we'll see if that happens. But I do feel bad. I mean, for you, VCAR, because my dad's in the same situation where he's retired, fixed income, and his property taxes are going through the roof. So it's not fun. I broke down over the weekend and started playing with the AI building offers and checklists for process of following up if offer is responded to. I broke down over the weekend and started playing with AI building offers. Yeah, it's amazing. If you go into ChatGPT and ask it like, hey, what are the 5 things I should do in this situation? Like if you fed it like the parameters on the deal and ask it for suggestions on a counter offer, it's pretty amazing. I'm a fan of ChatGPT to help you. Obviously, you want to double check everything it tells you, but good for you. I think the more knowledge, the better. So utilize those tools. Thanks, Nightcry. I appreciate the comment. Here's another Nightcry. Been avoiding AI, but guess we have to learn to live with it. Many people don't agree with that, but I agree that if it's there for you and you can use it, you know, use it as a tool and a resource. Your loan officer should be providing this to you. Yes, agreed. You know, like options, you mean, Steve, right? Let me see. The Northeast. Oh, drummer guy. Hey, I play the drums too. Northeast is starting to see price drops. Okay. Is that what you mean? Or is that New England? Or is that Northeast? I'd like to know. And how much in the price drops? They weren't listed as is. Oh, that deal you were talking about earlier, Dan. Yeah, that stinks. That's just not wanting to negotiate. But that was 2 years ago, you said, right? Or a couple years ago. So I bet maybe you'll see sellers more flexible now. Look over Zillow. Price drops of 15 to 20K are appearing. Yeah, there are definitely price cuts out there, no doubt. In a lot of markets, there are price cuts. They told us it would pass inspection. Oh, yeah, obviously it didn't. Was it a VA inspection or an FHA inspection it didn't pass? Is that what it didn't pass? Nightcry, what's up? We're not seeing any price drops. We're covering almost 200-mile radius around Houston, Texas. You're not seeing any price drops in Houston, Texas. Inventory spiking. Prices are mostly the same, if not higher than recent years. Huh. So I would really, really love to see Travis Spencer's opinion on this comment, Nightcry. I think you're on his channel too. I see you comment on his channel. I'd love to see what he thinks about your boots on the ground information. Because according to him, like, it's price cuts are everywhere and it's a buyer's market and you can get the deal of your dreams in Houston. So I'm like, wow, okay. I'd like to see what he has to say about that. Oh, to submit a bid with HUD, you have to have an agent? Huh. I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that more. A lot are trying to sneak in area agreements. Is that what you mean? Area agreements? I don't know what that means. You mean buyer agreements? I'm going to take a couple more comments, then I'm going to get to this rate article. I thought it was really interesting. Oh, in Maryland, D.C., you're seeing price cuts. Okay. Yeah. Kelly Cuba. How you doing, Kelly? I had a deal collapse in November and then again in February. Team lawyer and bigger deposits from now on. Team lawyer and bigger deposits. I don't know what that means. Yes, I am back to just lawyers. Team lawyer. I don't know what that means. Yes, I'm back to just lawyers. You mean not using an agent, just using a lawyer? Yeah, a lot of people do. I don't know if a lot of people do, but people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is going to jot around August after market crashes. Mostly Sly Fox. What's up? Yeah, Nightcry, same here. Home price is increasing in borderline rural metro Detroit. Homes went from 150 square foot to over $300 a square foot, and they're still selling instantly. These people buying are mental. Oh, you're in, I didn't know mostly Sly Fox. You were in Detroit. Yeah, Detroit's a tough market on the locals. There's no doubt. Prices there just keep going. They had one of the biggest drops during the GFC as far as prices go. When I did the research, if I remember right, their prices went down quite a bit. And since then, they've gone insane. Oh, that's right. You're in Sylvania, Ohio. Taxes make me want to puke. Yeah. Well, it would be interesting to see if they eliminate property taxes. So stay tuned for that video. It'll be this week that I interview the person in charge of it. All right. I'm going to show you guys this article now. I thought this was pretty interesting. So, like, it feels like there, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels like there's a perception out there that somehow this new administration was going to come in and be in charge of, the country, I guess. And there was going to be like lower asset prices and higher interest rates, or even lower interest rates and lower asset prices all at the same time, like the perfect scenario. But I think I just get a lot of comments about like, hey, interest rates are going to remain higher. Asset prices are going to come down because the administration wants to fix the housing market. I hear that, right? So to me, when I think about who's in charge of the country, it doesn't matter what administration, it could be anybody, all the politicians, right? Most of them invest somehow. A lot of them invest in real estate. Like the guy in charge of the senator now, Bernie Moreno, in Ohio, the guy that beat out Sherrod Brown, that dude owns tons of real estate. I don't think you have to look any further than this right here. FHFA Director Pulte calls on Powell to lower interest rates. So his last name's Pulte. I wonder if he has anything to do with home builders. Survey says, yes, he does, right? He's from the Pulte family, who, to my knowledge, created Pulte Homes. So the question I have for you is, do you think the person in charge of the Federal Housing Finance Administration, I think that's what it stands for, or association, do you think that the person in charge of that, with Pulte in his name, do you think he wants asset prices to come down? Do you think he wants the housing market to crash? And like when he, goes back to his family's get-togethers during the 4th of July or Christmas or Thanksgiving, and the Pulteys are sitting around, you think they're all like, hey, we can't wait for asset prices to be lower, and we can't wait for the housing market to correct? No, they're probably like, hey, man, it's good you're in charge of this now because you can help us keep the train running. I would guess, like, he came from a home. He's a home builder. I just thought this article was very timely. The 3 reasons the Trump administration is doing a full court press on Powell. On Monday, FHFA Director Bill Pulte, make it a little bigger. Can I make it a little bigger? Yeah. Director Bill Pulte called on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. Now, we all know that the 10-year controls mortgage rates, not the federal funds rate. But so that this is kind of odd that he said this, like he wants Powell to lower the federal funds rate. But last time that the Fed did that, mortgage rates went up. I know because I was ready to refinance. In fact, I was talking to Steve, who's on the stream right now, Steve Walgamont. And he was like, yeah, you should, I don't know, they may go up. And they did, after they actually lowered the federal funds rate. Anyway, his exact tweet was, Jay Powell needs to lower interest rates. Enough is enough. President Trump has crushed Biden's inflation, and there is no reason not to lower rates. The housing market would be in much better shape if Chairman Powell does this. 2 things stood out to me there. One, he says inflation is crushed. You tell me, is inflation crushed? I don't know. The housing market would be in much better shape if Chairman Powell does this. Do you think lower interest rates right now, not lower home prices? He didn't say that. Lower interest rates. Do you think that would help the housing market and it would be in much better shape? I'd like to know what you think. This is just the latest effort to influence Powell, and it comes after the Supreme Court ruled last week that Trump can't fire the head of the Federal Reserve. There are 3 factors, all connected to the housing market, that explain why the White House, the Treasury Secretary, and now the head of FHFA are doing a full court press on Powell. Higher rates are holding back GSE reform. I mean, you had to know this was coming, right? The people in charge of our country want lower interest rates. They want higher asset prices. Why? Because they invest in that, and all their buddies do too. They're not sitting around saying, can't wait to lose another $1 billion. No, they're saying we want these asset prices higher. We want rates lower. We want cheaper debt. After President Trump posted last week that he was giving serious consideration to releasing the GSEs from conservatorship, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went on Bloomberg to give more context. I wrote about the potential implications of taking Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae out of conservatorship, particularly in light of current mortgage rates and the 10-year Treasury yield, which are higher than the administration wants. So if you don't know already, but Fannie and Freddie, they basically were independent private companies before like the GFC. Then as the kind of the debacle, the GFC snowballed out of control, the government put them in conservatorship, basically saying, we've got you, we're going to backstop you, make sure that whatever loans you're buying, we're going to take care of you. Now there's been kind of it's a tease in my head that the White House wants to take them out of conservatorship and make them private. But what they're doing, it seems like now, and you tell me what you think, is they're saying, you know what, we will take them out of conservatorship and make them private only if interest rates get lower. As Bessent noted, if the Trump administration's analysis concludes that releasing the GSEs will cause mortgage rates to head higher, they won't start the process. Given the various priorities that the White House is managing, deciding to transition Freddie and Fannie out of conservatorship, particularly with midterm elections approaching, we just got done with election madness, right? Now they're already saying because of the upcoming election and ongoing challenges related to trade could present significant risk. Lower mortgage rates can give the White House a better backdrop to go into taking Freddie and Fannie out of conservatorship. Housing construction is at COVID levels. At the beginning of the year, I wrote about my concerns for the home builders and the new home sales if mortgage rates were to rise even more from their elevated levels. This is significant because housing data is critical to assessing if the economy is going to a recession. Monitoring trends among residential construction workers is important, as a decline in the sector can often signal that a recession may be approaching, as you can see in the chart. So on this chart, they're basically saying, hey, back in 2000, we had 843,000 employees. They don't say if it's thousands or not. I'm guessing it is. And then it went up, way up during the GFC, right? And then jobs went down, way down for construction because we weren't building. And now they went up, dropped during COVID, and then have kept going up. In the most recent jobs report, I noted a slight decrease in the labor in this field, and builder confidence is currently at levels reminiscent of COVID. The current high mortgage rates impact the home builders' desire and ability to build more homes. I mean, it's almost like there are, it's hilarious. To me, it's funny because I like watching the nuttiness of the situation on all sides. It's just like this comedy of monkey business, right? I just released a video this weekend about how we have a ton of new builds, right? You've got a whole group of people saying new builds are exploding. Like we have more, I mean, you can name them, right? Like Real Estate Mindset, Melody Wright, Venture Consulting, like they're out showing these homes going, even I did it this past weekend. I'll bet the homes I was showing were sold, and there's not a shortage, or there's still a shortage here in Ohio of new builds. Other areas have a ton of new building. Like out west, there's a ton of new buildings. South in the Gulf and the Sunshine Belt, there's a ton of them. Sunbelt, whatever, a ton of new buildings. You got all these new buildings going on, and people saying there's shadow inventory, there's ghost inventory, hidden inventory. You got that whole narrative going on. And at the same time, it's clear that the home builders want lower rates, and the administration, of which some of it being led by a past home builder, the largest home builder, well, one of the largest in the country, right, is now helping lead that effort to lower mortgage rates to make people build more homes. You can't make it up. You can't. I mean, you could try to make it up. It wouldn't be as entertaining. Fighting a trade war is essential with lower rates. I recently went on CNBC to talk about how lower rates were the cure for tariffs. I say this because Trump saw how the U.S. economy was performing better, even in an inflationary environment, because rates were lower. Even when lumber prices were at $1,500 per thousand board feet during COVID, new home sales and existing home sales were much higher because rates were lower. This is why the White House talked about wanting a lower 10-year Treasury yield, which means lower mortgage rates. The trade war drama that has made the bond market check the White House at times, and the president believes it will be easier if rates are lower. This is why I think we might see a potential shadow Fed president. That's crazy. Where Trump will showcase his next Fed president in a media tour to talk the markets into lower rates. This is something Bassett brought up in October of 2024. Conclusion: it's not surprising that Bill Pulte tweeted out that a lower mortgage rate message, as many close to the White House have expressed similar sentiments. The key question is what actions will be taken in response. Bassett plans to modify specific regulations, sit down for this, folks, to allow financial firms to hold a greater quantity of bonds. But the effectiveness of this move is still uncertain. So what did he do? To my knowledge, he made the amount of liquidity banks had to have on hand for your deposits lower. Travis at Real Estate Mindset and Mitch did a great video about this, where they begrudgingly admitted that, and Mitch, he doesn't really admit it, but you can see his face like, oh no, like this is what's happening, right? Travis admitted it. the banks are going to be required to carry less liquidity. Why? Because they want to buy more bonds. Why? Because they want rates lower. I mean, it's like they know that they can't just live with the rates the way they are. Heaven forbid, we live with 7% interest rates. I'm fine with that. If 7% rates were around for the next 3 years, I'd be like, it is what it is. You just got to adjust your deals, right? But like, they're doing everything they can to get rates lower. What happens in another 4 years? I don't think that's their concern. They just want rates lower now. The housing market, whoops, that's not it. The housing market can shift with relatively minor changes, such as mortgage rates approaching 6%, which could have a significant impact. And that's true. When mortgage rates drop significantly, you see buying demand pick up. You just do. You see it in the numbers. However, if this approach does not yield the desired results, the president may consider alternative strategies. Oh, I already said that. Did I already say that? Oh, yeah. Well, it's a repeat. The 2025 housing market is a lot more interesting with developments in the last few days. I agree. It's definitely more interesting. It doesn't stop. It's like you really can't, again, you can't make up this entertainment. You can try, but people would be like, well, you can't put that in the script. That doesn't make any sense. But it's actually happening in real life. I mean, they're doing everything they can do to try to get mortgage rates, well, borrowing rates lower. I don't think we've seen everything yet because their attention's been elsewhere. Once they put that attention on the 10-year and interest rates, they're going to be like, yeah. Notice, you tell me. I'm sorry, folks. I just can't. When I read this, I was like, yeah, no kidding, right? Like, what did people think was going to happen? One thing's missing out of this article. Anybody guess? Home prices. Ding, 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 ding. Did they say, we want lower home prices for everybody to afford a home? Nope. What about this plan to build on federal land? Somebody mentioned earlier in the Northeast, prices are still really high. I want you to look at a map of federal land and tell me what big swaths of land in the Northeast the government's going to come in and build homes on the federal land. That was the administration's big idea, right? We're going to clear federal land for home building. If you look at it, the majority is like in the West, where we have a ton of home building, and in Alaska. So maybe there's going to be like a huge flood of inventory hitting the market in Alaska. That'll help. Will it help? I'll let you decide that. The Northeast, where we need new building, do you think we'll see a lot of federal land building in the Northeast? I don't know. I mean, that wasn't mentioned. That's not being mentioned. What's being mentioned is lower interest rates. Why? Because consumers buy on payment. Now, you may not like that. You may not buy like that. I may not buy like that. But a lot of people buy like that. They buy based on payment. What's the payment? That's why, again, you can't make it up. That's why buy now, pay later. Buy here, pay here, whatever. Buy now, pay later. That's why that debt has exploded. Because somebody goes, oh, 4 payments of $39, I can do that. Or 4 payments of $30, I can do that. $120 today, I can't do that. Why? Because consumers buy on payment. So they want lower prices. Or I'm sorry, they want lower rates, not lower prices. Now, they may secretly want lower prices, but I'm not hearing any of that mentioned. If they lower interest rates enough to spark more demand, nobody in their right mind wants to see home prices go higher right now. Like, if they went up, I mean, normal people just don't want to see that, I don't think. Even as a realtor, I don't want to see that. Even as an investor with assets that I have purchased in the last couple of years that, quite frankly, haven't really gained that much equity or value compared to what we saw during COVID. And some maybe even down. I don't want to see higher real estate prices right now. I'd like to see lower real estate prices. It's rough. It's rough. Drummer guy, what's up, drummer guy? Here you go. $15,000 price cut. 90 days on Zillow in the desirable Crofton area in Maryland. I can't see it. They cut out the links. They're not going to show those links, dude. But yeah, there are price cuts out there. There's no doubt. Good luck, everyone. Have a great day. You too, Kelly. I'm just looking through these comments. I think sellers would love lower interest rates as they can increase their price, thinking their home is now more affordable. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, they not only think their home is more affordable, but so does the buyer. The majority of buyers in the US would think that too, because the payment's lower. So I think there's going to be several like little tricks pulled out of the bag, right? You can lower interest rates. I mean, like that's definitely a possibility. I also think there could be, is it possible they bring back 40-year mortgages? That seems to be plausible, that they bring back 40-year mortgage, not bring back, that they introduce 40-year mortgages, which won't really lower payments that much, right? And people, do you think people bought less cars when the term of car loans went from 48 to 72 to 80 months or 85 months or 100 months? Did we sell fewer cars or more cars? Did cars get less expensive or more expensive? They got more expensive. We sold more cars. Why? Because people are like, well, I don't care if it's 85 months or 100 months. My payment's less and I get a nice car. They're going to do the same thing with houses. That's how people buy. That's why credit cards are the way they are. That's why buy now, pay later is exploded. Privatizing Fannie and Freddie Mac is a huge mistake. I think Berkshire Hathaway is also behind this. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people want to see Fannie and Freddie not controlled by the government, or not backstopped by the government. But clearly they're like hanging that out there as like a tease in order to get rates lower. What's up, Stuntfish? Lower rates like what? 0.5% lower? That's not even going to dent the market. Rates would need to be cut in half. That just can't happen and be healthy for the economy overall. Completely agree. Like a half a point movement isn't going to amount to a hill of beans. So be scared. Be very scared that that if they want to lower rates, it will be a cut big enough to make the market move. And is it healthy for the economy overall? Probably not. I mean, when you go to Five Guys Burgers and Fries, or you go to McDonald's, or you go anywhere, or you go buy a tube of caulking, right? Or you buy, what did I just buy that I was like, what? Screws, like really long screws, like super long screws that, can you see this? Right? Can't you see this? I don't know. I got these big timbers that I'm putting in my yard, like 12-foot long timbers, 6 by 6 by 6. Got big long screws. I had to buy like 2 dozen of them. Those were expensive. My point is, they're expensive because of inflation. Inflation's there because of easy money, right? So is it healthy for the overall economy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that wasn't part of the article. And I don't know that that's part of the criteria. They just want lower rates for higher asset prices. Homes will drop like in 2008. Did you know that homes, when they had the stretch of the worst GFC run in home prices, they were down 23% for the nation. Some areas went up. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania went up 5% during the GFC. So I think a lot of people think that home prices dropped 50%, 80% everywhere in the US. But if we had a 23% correction in home prices, would that be a drop enough for you to buy a home if you're on the sidelines? If rates were the same as they are now? They are holding back a ton of zombie mortgages that should have foreclosed long ago. Agreed. And maybe that's the scheme, right? Like, maybe it's like, hey, we're going to release all these zombie foreclosures, these zombie mortgages into the marketplace. At the same time, we're going to lower mortgage rates so that people can buy them. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. Got 135 people on. Hey, if you're on, do me a favor and hit the like button. Don't be a freeloader. Don't be a freeloader. Just highlight this so people know what we're talking about. I fear home prices will drop about the time inflation and high costs have chewed into our savings for a home. I hope not. I hope not. And you're out there looking hard, looking at a 200-mile radius, Nightcry. Good for you, at least. Have you? I think we've talked about this. Are you driving for dollars? I think you are. Are you sending letters? I don't know if you saw my letter. I have a letter video on how I write my letter to sellers on my channel. It's really cheesy. I also have a video about driving for dollars that's even cheesier and it's embarrassing. But you'll laugh. You get a good laugh if you watch it. But but the process is real and the process hasn't changed. Are you doing that? I'd love to know. Hey, what's up, Crash Bro? Chihuahua! I got a Chihuahua. I love Chihuahuas. This crash will be epic. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Treat rate, not the problem. Treat rate. The rate, not the problem. I don't know what to say. The interest rate, not the problem. No, I'm not saying you're wrong, Tam Tam. Like, a lot of people are like, interest rates are not the issue. I want lower asset prices. I want lower home prices. Like all of you on here today, a lot of you say that. I get comment after comment after comment about lower home prices, lower home prices, lower home. It makes sense. A lot of you have money on the sidelines waiting to deploy, maybe even paying cash for a home, so you want a lower home price. That makes sense. If you don't need a loan, you don't care about the interest rate. I get that. But I don't want you to be hornswoggled. I don't want you to be hoodwinked. Meaning, like a lot of people say we have rose-colored glasses on because you think prices are always going to go up as a realtor. Well, the other rose-colored glasses on are thinking that somehow asset prices are going to come down enough for a 50% correction. I just, when I look at the current administration and I read articles like this, I think, and I see the tweets from the people in charge, I think, well, it looks like they want lower rates. I don't hear anybody saying, the American population needs lower home prices. I don't hear them saying that at all. Maybe you do, but I don't. So I just don't want you to be fooled. Right here. This is what Dan wants. A lot of people want this. I want higher rates, lower prices. Yeah, like if rates went up to 10%, but home prices fell 50%, I'd be okay with that. A lot of buyers would probably be okay with that. My wife gets upset seeing all these people buying homes, expensive homes, but the same people go on vacations. They have GoFundMe for kids' broken arm or car repair. Boy, that's pretty shady. Yeah. I mean, look, with social media now, I think that's probably one of the biggest contributing factors to home prices going up the way they are. I think without social media, home prices may not have gone up at the parabolic rate that they did because everybody has FOMO. And I completely get it. And everybody gets to see what other people are doing. And they're like, why can't I do that? You're going on vacation. You're doing this. But like, it's not going to end. People will spend their limit. That's just how it is. And if the limit isn't big enough, they'll increase the limit. But I understand feeling frustrated. 4320 North Addison Road, Capitol Heights. Sold at auction, 40,000 below estimated price on 5/16. Let it burn. 4320 North Addison Road, huh? Let's check this out. Look at the brick house. Is this on the market? Sold. What did it sell for? This property will be sold at auction. Oh, this is in 2016? No, 2025 it sold for 355. Is that a good price? I don't know. I don't know that market enough. It's certainly a nice looking home though. Is this a duplex? Looks like it does need work though, right? I don't know. I don't know that market. Looks like it needs, yeah, definitely needs work. But that's okay. Some homes like that. Is that a good price? You have to tell me. So you're saying that prices are going to get back to that level? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Oh, 516. I see what you're saying. It sold 40,000 below estimated price on 516. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, it was an auction, right? So oftentimes that'll happen. Nothing wrong with buying an auction property. You just got to kind of know, got to expect risk, right? Nobody can afford a new construction home. They're moldy junk anyway, and sardine can packed HOAs full of Karens and Darrens. That's funny. There's actually another article that I had looked at earlier today about that, about new homes. And new home sales like were one of the highest like in years. So people are buying new homes. Maybe not be able to afford it, but they are. Trump wants credit for interest rate drop. Not going to happen. Not going to give him credit or not going to have an interest rate drop. I mean, you can almost feel how fidgety. Is that the right word? Maybe. Yeah, you can almost feel them fidget in Washington about interest rates. You can feel it. And I that's probably something that they talk about over, you know, their bourbon and cigars at night or McDonald's, whatever they're doing. Government spending like crackheads with no credit card. Now they got a downgrade for being fiscally irresponsible. Yeah. I have a few 40-year loans. Oh, you have programs of 40 years. Yeah, I've looked at those, Steve. I'm not, maybe not yours, but yeah, they're out there. They're out there. Asset prices are too high. Yes. Yeah, they are. They are high. Dan in the dirt. We personally know one that has not paid their mortgage since she divorced, like almost 5 years ago. Yeah, there's a lot of people not paying their mortgage right now, right? That's going to end though. At least they say it is. Going to rent for a couple years, sit by sidelines. Nothing wrong with renting. I mean, there's a lot of real estate investors that advise not buying your primary residence. Grant Cardone says not to buy your primary residence. I'm not a huge Grant Cardone fan, but he's successful in investing with real estate. I mean, he's got to be a billionaire by now. Like he owns like what, 25, 50,000 units. And he's like, do not buy your primary residence. It's a waste of money. So nothing wrong with buying, with renting. Nothing wrong with renting. Nikki B, how you doing, Nikki? Prices coming down here in Florida. Keep stacking inventory. Good. Good, good. Dan in the dirt. I agree about rates. I do not care much till we pass 10%. I can manipulate the overall interest cost, but that become harder with higher principal. Right. So, a way to combat the higher rates too, even though higher prices, could be just to find something off market, and find something that needs work. I know people don't necessarily want to hear that, but that's If you can like find something that needs a good amount of work, that's a way to maybe find a deal. But when you say this is what I want to hit on. Gonna rent for a couple years, sit by the sidelines. This is not an awful strategy necessarily, but again, there are a lot of people out there doing this. My point is, I have a video coming out this week about institutional home buyers and what they are doing right now. You keep hearing the term or the fact that they are net sellers, right? You've heard this from the various folks that institutional buyers are net sellers, meaning they're selling more than they're buying. But they're selling, like the biggest one sold like 250 homes last quarter. 250, and they own 87,000. So if you own 87,000 of anything and you get rid of 250, you're not really going to miss it. The point is that like these institutional buyers are spending all their time and energy now fixing up the current inventory that they have, which makes sense. That's what I'm doing as an investor. I'm going around fixing, bathrooms and kitchens and whatever, instead of focusing on acquisitions. But someday, at some point, if prices get low enough or interest rates get low enough, you can better believe that they will come back into the housing market. They will. And they admit that. They're like, right now we're kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting. So when I see a comment like this with Tam Tam, I'm like, hey, that's not a bad strategy. But while you're waiting on the sidelines, make sure you don't stop looking. Because today you could probably, if you did enough work, you could probably find a deal at a price that makes sense for you, way off of a retail price. It's not easy, and depending on where you live, it can be really hard. But like in an area like Florida, I don't think you're in Florida, you're in Sylvania, Ohio. But I found some deals in Sylvania, Ohio before. They were multifamily deals like duplexes and triplexes, but they were well under market. I kicked myself for not buying them when I had the opportunity. But they're out there. Those deals are out there. I would encourage you to keep looking and making disrespectful offers, because you don't want the institutional buyers to come flooding back into the market. I'm not saying they're going to. It's not guaranteed. Could they go bankrupt? Sure, they could. Anything's possible. But generally, it looks like they are sitting and waiting alongside all of us. And that makes sense. Like since the GFC, things were, the housing market was securitized. Once it was securitized, the cat was out of the bag. It's not a secret anymore that owning real estate, specifically residential real estate, specifically single family houses, is it's not a secret. Those are good assets. Otherwise, we all wouldn't be on here today talking. So realize that. Realize you're not the only one who's waiting on the sidelines. And I really have a fear that if interest rates drop too much, we'll just see prices go higher again. And then we'll deal with all this inflation again the next round, right? Should be interesting. Should be interesting to watch. Nikki B, create your own crash. Lowball everyone. Yeah. I like it, Nikki. That's what you should do. You should. If you don't need to buy a house right now, if you don't have to buy a house, you're like, well, I don't have to, right? Much money if you don't have to buy a home. Then just make lowball offers. If anything, you'll have fun doing it, right? Like you'll learn something. The worst case scenario, you'll make an offer to a seller and an agent who's like, this is disrespectful. Rah, 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 rah. It's always funny when agents get upset about stuff like that. Like to me, I don't care what the offer is. Like my job is to help the client. I'm not going to get personally offended with anything, with any offer that comes in. It's not, but so you should go out and make lowball offers. But you get my point. Anyway, hey, this was awesome today. Like I think that this article, I'll link it. However, it doesn't, this is a paid service. Actually I get it free with my MLS membership. It's actually a nice bonus, with my membership, because the membership is, I don't know, $1,300 a year or something like that. So it was nice to have this article or this subscription. So I can't link it unless you want to pay for it or pay for a trial, which you could definitely do. But yeah, I thought this article was interesting. I thought this this cancellation article from Redfin was interesting too. You know, home buyers are canceling deals. Definitely some changes in the housing market, no doubt about it. Okay, well, this week I'm going to do a new home, not the new home video. I already did that. I'm going to do the property tax video where I talk to the folks responsible for abolishing property tax here in Ohio. I also have the institutional investor video coming out. And I'm definitely going to do a Redfin update, as I always do every week, either on Thursday or Friday. So join us for that. And yeah, I hope you have a great Tuesday. Happy belated Memorial Day. If you served in our country, you're serving now, you know somebody who served. Thank you. Thank you so much for the sacrifices that you're making and that your family is making. And I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again on the next Housing Nerd video. I'm out. OUT out.